broadcast partner, WCEG Media Enterprises, known as the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where the mission is to speak life into the community. You can visit WCEGTalkRadio.com and connect with WCEG on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Fanbase, Twitch, Blue Sky, and additional WCEG media platforms. Please search for WCEG, subscribe, follow, and share. Download the WCEG mobile app or simply say, Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. The opinions expressed during tonight's broadcast belong to the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of WCEG Media Enterprises. Thank you, WCEG, for creating a platform where conversations like this can take place and strengthen families and communities. Now, let's build. We have our foundation set. Let's move into the heart of tonight's conversation. Welcome to Built Men. I'm Roshown McLeod. Tonight's Built Men broadcast is about when potential meets purpose. A father's influence, a son's legacy. The conversation isn't about basketball. It's about the people behind the basketball. We celebrate championships, winning trophies, NBA careers, but rarely do we celebrate the men who laid the foundation. Tonight, we're going to. Our mission at Built Men is simple: helping boys become men, helping men become better leaders. Tonight, we're talking about one of the greatest responsibilities a man will ever have: building another man. Brian, Darius, welcome to Built Men.
Hey, how you doing?
We good, man. We good.
Good.
So the first part of our conversation, man, I want to talk about, before jerseys, like before and like just building the builder. So you being an elder, but still in the king phase, um, we're gonna learn a little bit about what you saw in Darius before he became an athlete. Who was he, and what kind of boy was he before today?
Well, Darius was a great. I mean, he was a boy. He was a young man who was like, how you have some that are out of control, but Darius always had a process or a thought to everything he done. He was a great child. You didn't have too many things that you had to try to correct him on, because once he learned it or once you gave him direction, he always tried to follow it. I mean, I don't know what it was, but in his heart, I don't think he ever wanted to disappoint me and his mother. He was a great kid. He has a little mischief in him, but it was always exciting to develop Darius to be who he has came now. I mean, like I said, he was my shadow. So every time he was around me, he act right. He done the things that he's supposed to have done. He was always striving to be a better Darius. So that what made him able to be and function the way he is now. Didn't have too many times that I had to, get on him about any corrections or anything we done. When, it was always, Dad, let's do this, or Dad, you're doing that. And he always tried different sports. And it was never, ever, you know, he was never, ever, combative. He was never, ever like, okay, I'm going to be who I am or anything of that nature. He was always trying to see what I was trying to teach him. And then he tried to develop to be that better person. And, that was just his character and that was his nature that God gave and put in him.
I mean, I remember the development. I met you guys when he was around 10th grade, man, and I just remember being on the court and us playing. Came out playing dirt bowl, all that type of stuff, man. A lot of people don't know about Maysville and the dirt bowl, man, but
They don't.
it,
They
it was
don't.
really cool to to meet you guys around that time and be a part of and see his development. Um, what what first made you realize he was different than most of the other kids, and when did you recognize like his potential?
Well, I knew he was different because like I said at the beginning, I never ever had to tell Darius, go work out or go play. I was a gym rat. So every time I came home or I'd done something that I, work or anything, he was always, we going to the gym? When we going to the gym? Hey, dad, are we going? Are we going to go play? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to go play in a minute. And every time. And the thing about it is people don't understand. And you try to let them know that, Darius always strived to be the best sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th grader. That, he never ever, I think it was a few times that we ever talked about college while he was in high school. I think that was later on in the years, if I can remember correctly. He can correct me. But a lot of times, Darius was just, okay, Pops. He called me Dad back then. Okay, Dad. We're going to do this. And I sat down and I critique him. You're not running enough. You're not doing this. And a lot of times he just excelled because he played with grown men from, I remember about 6th or 7th grade. So when it came to play against his age group, he wasn't nervous. And I knew he was special then when one day we were short one player and I had to get my son. And when I got him on the court, the lights was on. It was over then, and I think that was 7th grade, wasn't it, D? 6th or 7th? I think it was 7th. And
somewhere around there.
Wasn't it 7th grade?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And and it was over. Light came on and he was dominating, killing some of the people who could play. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, yeah, okay. Then he has developed and he has listened, and skies was the limit for him.
Man, listen, when I remember when I first met him, he's about 210, man. I'm like, this dude in high school? Like, come on, man. He was solid, man.
He was solid.
This dude could jump, he could shoot. Yep. I'm like, yo.
He was solid.
Hey, he might be able to teach me something. Right. What are we talking about?
Yeah. And that's what we always worked on, too, is being a complete player. He always wanted, and all the thing Darius was always about, I commend him on, he was always about winning. I remember one time I was like, D, you need to go do this. You need to go score. He said, Dad, I ain't even playing in the fourth quarter. We good. He said, we winning, Dad.
Things all right when you have to sit down in the fourth quarter, right?
Hey, you can't say nothing. He was like, Dad, yeah. And the thing about it is he had like 19 and 10 and 10. And I could, what I'm gonna say? I was like, okay, but he had a complete game, and he was like, Dad, we winning by, And then, I came back and said, well, get 25 and 3 quarters in.
Hey, I feel you. I feel you, man.
Just being that dad, I was like, yeah, well, go get 3. Yeah, and he was, it was something though, and he always kept his composure. Even when sometimes we do something or you think about it. I knew he was special because he always kept his composure. He never, ever let him. Now, if you made him mad, you was in trouble. But most of the time, he just went out and just played. You know what I mean? He was just, you ain't going to rush me. You ain't going to intimidate me. I'm just going to play. And that's when I knew, like you said, around the 9th and 10th grade, I was like, okay, he's special. He got something here. He listens. He's coachable. He goes out to win, and he trying to make everybody around him better.
Hearing that, hearing that, man, like when you hear your dad describe those early years, how does that make you feel? What memories come back to you when you hear your dad describe those times?
Man, all the memories, honestly. I remember trying to get on the court with Pops and guys like Sean Myrick, Chris Lofton, Alvin Sims. We had a ton of heavy hitters back in Maysville, and I used to be dying to get on the court. So I remember exactly what he was talking about. And that's what fueled me at the beginning. Wanted to play with those guys because I saw how good they were and how good a basketball they played. Like, Maysville was really good about like developing good basketball. Like, we played really good. Like, Ro, them small communities, man, they all can shoot and they play real good basketball, sharing the ball,
playing
moving
together.
Yeah, so it's like I got to learn that really, really early on. And then Pops, he's been playing my whole life, and that was my hero. So I wanted to be just like him, and he played good basketball and he worked hard. Like he said, he was a gym rat. So that's all I
You had
knew
no choice.
that's all I knew since I was a
I'm
baby.
gonna tell you what y'all did different, though. I'm gonna tell you what y'all different. He shot the ball every time he touched it. That was the difference. You wanted to play point forward, point guard, shooting guard. You know, you did a little bit of everything. B ain't never. Hey, listen, my nickname was Trigger. Hey, we got to make up something new for him.
Wait, but the thing about it is, I might have shot all the time, but I always try to dunk on somebody. Back then, it wasn't no threes. It was like, I'm going to get to the rim and I got to get post or somebody. I didn't feel good until I get up the court getting on somebody, though. That was the thing.
No doubt. It was a lot of fun, man. Hey,
a lot of fun.
So continue with you, D, man. Did you know, like, through all of that preparation, through sport, you guys have a strong faith, all that type of stuff. Did you know that your dad was intentionally preparing you for life, or were you just being a kid and just trying to be the good kid, or did you have an idea of what was being produced, what your dad was trying to create?
I think early on, I was trying to just mimic my dad. I just wanted to be my dad. Like I said, that was my hero, just seeing him hoop, you know what I mean? The way he treated my mom, the relationship that they had. So early on, I think I was just trying to mimic his actions. And then as I got older, like the knowledge started to hit and I started to pick up on, you know, everything that he was teaching me. But he was definitely intentional about, you know, teaching me all the foundational things, you know, that allowed me to grow into who I am, about setting goals and values and all that different stuff. I really listened to his word and paid attention to all of that, because I was the type of kid that if I listen to it, I'm gonna try it out. And when I try it out and get good results, I'm gonna stick with it. You know what I mean? So when Pops will tell me something, I try it out, then that's all he had. He only had to say it once, because I'm gonna try it out. And once I tried it out and it worked, I was gonna run with it.
With that being said, man, like, you know, all the good things that he being intentional and all that stuff, like, did you ever feel like he was being hard on you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Pops, he never took it easy on me, but I appreciated it as I got older. Because I could see what it was making me, especially on the sports side. It was more so on the sports side, but it was more so developing a work ethic, you know what I mean? And setting a goal and trying to achieve that goal. I didn't understand what it was at the time. So back in the day, I saw waking up before high school and going to work out, I saw that as being hard on me. You know what I mean? But that wasn't being, he was teaching me certain things that was allowing me to grow and push myself as I got older, for sure.
What was a lesson from your childhood that's helped you, that your dad taught you to be the best husband and father that you are today?
His resilience. I think Pops is his ability to problem solve. That's one thing that's always stuck with me about Pops. He's like, he gonna figure it out. And that's something that was really important to me growing up, because it kind of became a part of my foundation, like to be a problem solver instead of complain, and you know what I mean? So that's something that stuck with me since the beginning. Like, he's always been extremely resilient, and I've always appreciated that. And that's the most important lesson he taught me, I think. Out of all the millions of lessons he taught me, that's the one, for sure.
Hey, listen, I've known him a long time, and accountability has always been his primary, you know, source of strength. But
No doubt.
you know, so you know, I mean, we all played basketball here. That was kind of a tool for us. You know, and it's opened up a whole lot of doors for all three of us throughout our career. Um, when the games were over, like, who were you? Like, describe who you were, and was basketball your identity, or, like I said before, was it a tool? Did you know that at a young age?
Yeah. I don't think it was my identity. And that I think that kind of, because as you know, Ro, it takes so much to get to the level that we got to, and to make it almost has to be your identity at times. And I don't think I ever fully committed to basketball being my complete identity. And I think that was due to Pops too, due to our faith, due to all the different things that we have talked about and went through, and just the way that I was developed. I don't think basketball was like my whole identity, which allowed me to transition later on a bit easier and to
Yes.
stay grounded, you know what I mean, throughout my journey. But I loved it, but I don't think I ever fully committed to me just being a basketball player and that just being my complete identity.
No, that you said that grounded was the perfect word, because like
Mhm.
when you're as successful as you were, it's you have to have a person or something in your life that is going to keep you and make sure that you understand how to deal with success, just like we learn how to deal with failures, right? Um, w- what was harder for you, making it to the NBA or becoming the husband, father, the man that you wanted to be? What was harder? Like if you had to, I'm like not in necessarily in the comparison, but the part of the journey. Like which one do you think shaped you the most?
I think becoming a man I needed to be shaped me the most. No doubt, no doubt. And I think a lot of that was due to Pops, just seeing what he went through, how he dealt with it. Like I said, that resilience, that ability to figure it out. That's something that I carry with me and was at my core. So I saw how he treated moms, and even I remember when I first got into the league, I love Monty Williams. Monty Williams was one of my first coaches,
Great guy.
and oh my God, amazing dude. And he told me, he brought all the youngers in. He was like, man, you're gonna have to sacrifice so much in order to get where you guys are trying to go to. And he repeated it, and you could tell he really meant it. And that's something that stuck with me. And one of the questions I always asked myself was like, okay, well, what am I willing to sacrifice in order to try to get to where I'm going to and be the man and the et cetera and et cetera. And I never, the family part of it was never up for debate. Just that's something that was a core part of me. So I couldn't I couldn't sacrifice everything that one might sacrifice in order to try to achieve what they would want to achieve. And I think that's a part due to Pops and the relationship he had with Mom and all the stuff he put, on the back burner for me and to try to figure it out. And so I think trying to be the man and the husband and the father, that was way more, going through the fire and trying to figure it out than the hooper, because growing up, basketball was all I knew. I've been
Yeah.
following Pop since he was in college, and I was a baby at the, you know what I mean? So basketball was easy. That was a part of who I was. But being a right husband and being the right father and the right man, especially when nobody's looking, that's
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
the real journey right there for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Like, I mean, I just celebrated 24 years of marriage this past month, so that was huge commitment for me as well. So, I mean, we keep in touch, make sure we checking on each other's families. I get dad's messages every morning at 8 o'clock, so that's always inspirational. But like, so in hearing your last answer, right? How has your wife, like, what has she taught you about yourself?
Man, so much. Because that, as everybody knows, that relationship and the give and take and the learning somebody and just everything that goes into being a partner, it's a lot, and it's a
Yes.
lot to figure out, and it's a commitment, so uh being married and my wife, especially the relationship that we have, because we have an amazing relationship, and I'm a truly appreciative of everything that we've been through, because we've had a lot of ups and downs and highs and lows just through
That's what marriage
basketball,
is,
and
right? That's
exactly,
Yep.
what marriage is.
Exactly.
traveling from space to
Yes.
space, and you know what I
Yep,
mean,
you
like
gotta take the girls out of school and put them in another school. They leaving their
exactly.
friends.
Exactly. So she's forced me to come out of myself, you know what I mean? And forced me to sacrifice a lot and change and develop a lot into a man, because as a hooper too, you get spoiled living in that lifestyle
Oh yeah.
and being pampered and everybody
When the
taking.
crowd stopped cheering, man, when that
You know what I
25,
mean?
30,000 stop here, you stop hearing those claps, man, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? I just made a basket. That was a three ball right there, you know?
Definitely. And yeah,
Oh
no,
man,
it's been great. And I've developed a lot by, committing to my wife and her committing to me, and us going on this journey together for sure.
nice. So, hey, Brian, man, you
Yeah.
gotta be proud, bro. Like watching Darius become a husband, and like, when did you realize like my son is becoming a man? Like, when did you notice that?
Well, I knew, like he said, ups and downs. So and some of the times when we had a down low, we had to speak on that one. But when he said, "Pops, I'm good. I'm gonna figure it out," and he didn't hesitate. And when you hear the voice of a young man say, "Dad, I got it. I'm gonna figure it out. Just give me a minute." That's when okay, yeah.
I'm gonna
God is
suspect
good.
that was around the injury time because that
No,
changes a lot of things. Or it was
it,
before
it,
that.
it was a couple of things before that. Before the
Okay.
injury time. Before the injury time, I knew he was good. But
Oh,
there was
that's
an
perfect.
incident before that I knew when the confidence in his voice. You know what I mean? When you
Oh
know
yeah.
your son, when you want to hear your son say, "Okay, you know, I got it. I'm all right, Dad. I'm gonna figure it out. You good? And I'll let you know." But he was like, "I'm
Nice.
good, Dad. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get through this." And
Nice.
that's when I knew that okay, he's a young man. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
he
And
can get through adversity.
it's
You
funny
know.
because I had that same moment. My son, he was in the last broadcast, and I had the same moment when he lost his job. He just moved
Yep.
out the house, and he was like, "I'm gonna figure it out." So
Yeah.
I know exactly the moment you're talking
Correct.
about,
Yeah.
and it makes you a proud dad. It's a moment
It
when you
does.
become a proud dad.
Yeah.
Now, Darius got two beautiful girls, man. I mean, they get
Dog
all their
baby.
looks from their mamas. Let's go there first, right? Hey, listen, we all overachievers on this
Yeah.
broadcast right now.
Dog
So,
babies.
hey,
Yes.
including myself, so I cannot
Yeah.
be mad.
Right.
But becoming a grandfather, how has that changed your perspective? And like, how much joy is that for you watching your granddaughters?
Man, it is so much joy. I love kids. I'm an outgoing person, but when you got your grandbabies, man, that you're watching grow up, they're intelligent, they're beautiful, they well behaved. They just you can't use a word that you don't understand because they're gonna call you on it. What that mean? How you spell that? All right, can you use it in a sentence? Okay, why did you use it that way? So then it helps you. You got to be like, okay, these words I ain't gonna use. But it's just, and every day I always ask him, can I steal them? He always say, nah, pops. But it's just a joy, man. Just every day I get to see them. Every day I get to watch them grow. Every day they are part of Brian and a part of Darius, and you just allow to see, especially when you see that your son have a family that the kids are well behaved and they just willing and eager about life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When they're
I
just
do.
eager about, okay, what is life gonna bring me today that I can share or I can show, you know what I mean?
I do.
That
I
I can
do.
help or do things that show that I'm getting it.
And
So, you know,
what I've noticed about you, man, is like you do that. I hear you talking about your grandkids, but you did that for all the kids that was around. That's the funny part. Like you would think like you had way more kids than you did. Because it was like, let me get this gym open. I got all the kids with me, and that's a beautiful thing, man. So, it's great to hear you talk about your grandbabies like that.
man, it just warms your heart though. And you just think, and the thing, like I said though, Ro, is just where, we didn't have none of that. People don't
Right.
understand. You didn't, and we didn't have our thing was outside on the concrete every day.
Mm-hmm.
Our thing was, you grow up with different aspects and different things in your life, and you're supposed to try to help kids and help others,
Yep.
And
In
the
the
thing about
community.
it, yes, thing about it was I always tried to do something to help a kid grow or help a kid develop. It wasn't nothing that I was trying to be all of that, but it was about, okay, if these people gonna be around me, let me help them help themselves. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
I don't feel I would feel bad, who I am. I would feel terrible if I couldn't help a kid grow.
Yeah.
You know
And,
what I mean?
and sometimes a lot of kids don't have that around. So being able to acquiesce to what you're doing makes, because I got a phone call from a kid I coached. He just graduated from college, and I coached him in as a freshman in the sophomore year. And he said for the first time I was holding myself accountable and didn't even realize how it would affect the rest of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
he's got a 4 year old, and he just called me, man. I hadn't talked to the kid in maybe 6 years. He called me just to tell me he graduated and he wanted to take me to lunch. So
Nice.
like being able to have an impact like that on someone else's life that you can impact like that, I mean, I wanted to cry because I never thought
Right.
the kid would graduate, being honest, but
Uh-huh.
he did. He beat all the odds that was up against him, and I couldn't be more proud of him. And then just like talking about that, like it had to be, and I know it because
Yeah.
I see it every morning at 8.
Yeah.
Your faith, your faith has
Mhm.
clearly been the foundation for your family. Like, when did you realize your children needed to see your faith on a regular basis and not just hear it? And how did you lead with spirituality inside your home?
Bro, it was by my beautiful wife one day. It's like, Mary said, come see. One day I was, playing ball and stuff, and my wife, my beautiful queen, said, hey, this man down here, he's a preacher. Everybody say he's good. Let's go see. And I respect my wife to death. And I said, let's go. So we went, and I grew up in it. But then after a while, you just grow. You just go. But then when you go and your wife want to go and you have a partnership and you go and you develop and you find that, two people coming together to try to build a foundation for your family and your kids that is spiritual, that would bring forth, love and joy and peace in the home. And you got to do it, And the thing about it is that, you got to have hope and you got to have faith, regardless of everything going on. And Dee don't know, but one day this is what it was. One day a while back, it was like, okay, I didn't drink until I was like a sophomore or junior in college. Never drank because I seen what it did to my father. And I said I wasn't going to do it. And then one day, I just tried a beer. Next thing you know, I tried another one. I was doing this and I was doing that. And then one day after I graduated, I was sitting in the room, and my baby boy came in and stuff, and had a beer and stuff and all of that. And he looked at me and he said, "Why are you doing drugs?" I said, "Huh? What you talking about? This ain't no drug." And I don't know where he said, well, in school we learned about beer and stuff and
Alcohol,
alcohol and stuff
yeah.
and drugs. I was
That's
Why
that
like,
they
DARE
all
no.
program, bro. You remember that DARE program that they had
Oh
going? No,
yeah.
No, I was like, okay, this is my baby
Hey.
boy, I put it up. I said, okay, Lord, you didn't just show me, and from then on, I don't drink. I haven't drunk a beer in, I don't know, probably about, 40, 50 years or something. I haven't drank alcohol. I don't do none of that. I haven't had a pop and probably about the same.
And that's
But
probably why you look like you can still play, man. I'm just gonna be honest.
I, I still can play a little bit, but
Maybe hey, listen, I'm at the 3-on-3 stage. I'm Shaq in 3-on-3. Just throw the ball down low, and I ain't got to run
right,
down the other end. We good.
right, right. But I'm still one of them silly people who try to get up at 5:30 and play Darius in a one-on-one still. So
And he ain't got a chance, huh? D? He might have had it when you was young, huh?
no, Hey, he finally got me other day though, bro. I ain't gonna lie. About a month ago, we played at 5:30 at the gym, and he didn't let me score. I was hot. He don't, he don't know. I had nightmares over that, bro. I was like, man. I told my brother, and he started laughing. He said, "Brian, don't you know how old you are?"
Oh man. Hey
He
man,
don't know.
listen. I'll say this, man. Hey, this has been great, man. This is great. So, hearing your dad talk about the faith, right there, it's like, when did you know that your parents' faith, like you had to evolve it into your own? Like, what was that like for you?
Oh, early on. I think early on. I mean, that's something my pops always communicated to me too. It never was like forced to everything. You know what I mean? He was just teaching me principles and values through that. You know what I mean? And like I said, once I figured out something worked, I'm going back to it. But he did a great job of showing me early on how it worked for him. You know what I mean? It wasn't a just do this, do this, do this. It was kind of like explained, and I feel like he always knew I was searching for information. So he did a great job of just showing me what it meant to him, what it meant to mom. You know what I mean? And as I told you before, they were my heroes. I saw how it was working for them. I remember some of the situations we went through and how it pulled them through it. You know what I mean? So it was more so his journey and seeing him live it, that kind of made me wonder, okay, well, how can this help me and how can I use this and how should I go about this? And I think that's what helped me to develop it early on and keep it throughout my life.
Um, you said you built yours off of them, right? So now that you have your little girls, and even though this is about built men, we still have a responsibility to our daughters just as much, right?
For
We got
sure.
to make sure that we are the man we want them to be with at some point. What
Definitely.
lesson do you hope that they would learn watching you?
The same thing I learned from my parents, the values, the principles, how you should live on the day to day. You know what I mean? The actual practical stuff, that leads to a better life. And that's kind of how I approach it with my girls also too, because there's so much in it that you can get from it, just on the day to day on how to live and how to serve and how to do the right thing consistently. And I that's kind of how I approach it also, because that's how they approached it with me. And I think once you approach it that way and you see it and you can feel it and live it on the day to day, that it just connects at a different level.
Beautiful. All right, so we're gonna move into another segment here, and this segment is called a father to a son. All right, so Brian, like, I mean, we having some good conversation, and I know you guys talk, but think real deep about this one. Tell Darius something you've never said publicly. Like, what are you most proud of about him, and not anything basketball, but about him. What is something that you've never said publicly? You're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
there?
Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to plug it up. I get it in a minute. But that's the thing about it, though, Ro. And I'm gonna be honest. Darius and I have a great relationship, and we done talked about everything. And I done told him how proud I am of him, of being a young man and developing his family. Proud of how his family is, and we talk. I mean, I'm at his house every day, and we have that relationship that if I need something, I can talk to him. So it's nothing that, being honest, there's nothing that I haven't said publicly or to him behind closed doors that he don't know. And I lift him up every day as a young black man to understand. And we have a relationship that I don't think it's anything that I haven't communicated to him over my life. That I'm proud of him. Even though he's a nice young man, husband, a wife, father, if I go to him and I try to talk to him about something, we sit down and we talk about it. We don't argue. We both respect each other's opinion, and we go from it. He tells me something, and I'll take it just like a seed, and I'll let it plant, and then I'll let God give the increase if it's something that I need or something I need to know. And the same way with him, I drop something in his spirit to let him, just churn on it, or to him just eat on it, or whatever the case may be. But I'm honestly, I don't think it's anything that I haven't told him that he doesn't already know.
That's a beautiful thing though, man, because that's very rare. And
Mhm.
that's a part of why we're having this conversation so that people can see that, you know, that exists now. It's not something
Yeah,
that needs to be invented, like the conversations, because the more conversations we have, the more trust we have when we're
correct,
open, honest, and genuine.
correct.
And so to hear you say that, I mean, I knew the answer before, but I just wanted you to go into detail because we want to strengthen father-son relationships. We want to
Correct.
strengthen, mentors and mentees, so that we can
Hmm.
have stronger men, better leaders, great examples, and we need that type of vulnerability in our men, so that iron can sharpen iron,
Correct.
in reality. Knowing that there's like nothing that you haven't talked about, what's one thing you hope he never changes?
Being himself, honestly, being himself. I hope he don't ever change having confidence in what he's been through. That he doesn't change Darius Miller. And what I mean also about that, to elaborate, he always process it. You know what I mean? Before, one thing is, nowadays in this generation, they act quick from emotions, from where they was wounded before. Most of them, and the thing about it is, it talks about your heart. And most of the young kids now, if you already say had an incident with somebody or something happened, that's a wound in their heart. So if you came to them in a way that, even if you wasn't going to fully act that way, there's be standoff of you because of what somebody else had
Else
done.
did. Yeah.
So the thing about it is I don't ever want him to change who he is and the person and the man that he developed to be.
Right. Like, because what I've learned and seen, and I try to share this with a lot of young men as well, is, and I put out some posts a lot of times, and one of the things was, what does it cost to be you?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of times, integrity, character, like all of those things that create who you are, if there's a price for them, is it really a genuine version of yourself?
Correct.
So that is probably one of the hardest things for people, especially in today with social media, the
Yep.
likes, all the things that's happening. It's a lot harder for kids, to establish their identity before they go out into the world and try to present.
Mm-hmm.
And we as fathers, we have to figure out a way to make sure that our kids know who they are before they start trying to present a false narrative to the world about who they are. So
Correct.
that's a beautiful thing, man. And Darius, knowing that you guys talk and you don't share, if there is something,
Yeah.
please share it. But if not, let me follow up with this. What's one lesson from your dad that you'll carry with you for the rest of your life? And what didn't? What's something you didn't appreciate growing up? Got you on that one.
I think the thing I most appreciate is Pops being solution based. Just that resilience I talked about earlier. So much, that I've seen Pops go through. And everybody, everybody goes through life, but I don't ever think I heard Pops really complain. You know what I mean? I don't think he's ever really like he just figures it out. And his faith is a big part of that. He's never wavered in any of that, which has been huge for me to see that, like I said, with all that he's been through. So yeah, just his resilience and his ability to just figure it out. Just plug away. I that's it's done miracles for me. with what I've been through both on and off the court, just to be like, okay, I've seen my pops figure this out, so I can definitely figure this out. You know what I mean? So that's something, and I'm getting emotional even thinking about like pops' journey and just how he handled it as a man. You know what I mean? And it's worked wonders for me and who I've become. You know, so extremely proud of pops and thankful. So much gratitude
Nice.
because I know I know a lot of dudes didn't get that growing up. So it, as I said, I'm getting emotional even talking about it. But yeah, I definitely wanted to say that to pops today.
Man,
But,
like it's crazy you say that because like you got daughters, right? So this is gonna be a really good one for you. I thought about it while you was giving your answers. Since you didn't answer what you didn't appreciate, right? We're not gonna
yeah,
gloss over that, right? So I'm
yeah,
gonna let
yeah,
that one
yeah.
slide, but I'm gonna go to this one just so you know. All right. What kind of man, if you had to explain it to your daughters, like what was like what kind of man is grandpa? Like what would you tell them?
Just amazing, amazing man. Resilient. Uh, led by values. Uh, I think he just the point that you mentioned earlier, Ro, just talking about how he gives back to people. Like you said, it felt like he had so many kids. I remember going back to Maysville, just growing up in Maysville, and every time I went back from college, he was just like the guy that helped to, develop and give people in the gym and give kids advice and help them get a ride here. Do you know what I mean? So I would let them know that he was just a selfless guy, a resilient guy, uh, a man of God. A man of an extremely strong foundation, and one of the greatest men I've ever met. Still my hero to this day.
Man, shit, you're making me emotional.
I,
Because I seen it firsthand, man. So
Yeah, no
uh,
doubt.
I love it. I love it. But this is why I wanted to build this platform so that we can have men tell their stories. So that we don't want to focus on what we're not doing. We want to improve that, but we also want to make sure we're teaching young men what to do. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. A lot of young men don't know what to do, and it leaves them a little bit weary about what direction they want to go.
so
So, hey,
true.
hey, Brian. So this next segment is called the build. We do this at towards the end of every show, right? So
Uh-huh.
challenge every father and with something this week. Like what would be a challenge you would have a father do with their son, daughter, or being the head of the family? Like what's a challenge you would have them that they, because we want to make sure we're showing them actionable things. So it's not just about having the conversation, it's about also trying things that they may not know exist that can improve their lives or their family or improve the way that their wife or somebody may look at them. When your
Hmm.
wife look at you with admiration, that's a beautiful thing. you know
Amen.
so challenge a father, like give a father some sort of action that they could do this week so that they can gain some of that admiration from their family.
I think I challenge you to let your son deal through adversity by himself. Deal through adversity, and what I mean, turn off the social media. Turn off all this communication from other people, and really sit down and talk to your son and see what type of man he's trying to be. And what I mean by that is by challenging them and through go adversity is, like you said, I deal with a lot of people, and over the years, all I ever hear the young men say when they come for an interview or come for anything else, they say, "Well, I could go back home, or I can let me ask my dad." For instance, the other day, we had a 26-year-old man did not buy a car that he want because he had to go back and ask his dad, was it okay? let your kids or let your man be a man. Challenge him in some little area, and just see if he gonna prove his, if he gonna figure out the puzzle.
Right.
Let's see if he can figure out the puzzle, and then give him good advice on how to figure out the puzzle, but don't do it for him.
It's funny you say that, right? Because I was sharing with you, when my son, he moved out and lost his job, all that stuff.
Right.
I knew he became a man because his birthday was 2 weeks later, right?
Right.
And so I said, "Hey, man, what you want for your birthday?" He goes, "Could you get me like a month's rent?"
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
He was like, "That's all I need. I just need a month's rent." Because normally, you give him a couple $100, he go have some fun. He said, I'll take a month's rent, man. So
Right.
when he said that to me, I knew his priorities had changed.
Correct. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It
And
wasn't
that,
about going
yes,
out no more. It wasn't about
right.
hanging with his friends. It was, how do I
Yes,
keep a roof over my head for survival?
for
And
survival. That is
you know,
correct. So,
I'll never forget that, man. So when you say that, it's hilarious because I've had those moments, and the best time to do it is when they're in a controlled environment.
correct. That is correct.
Like they could go out into the world, right?
Yep.
And they could get hit over the head, and they may not know how to deal with it because they haven't been able to do that within the household, where if they do fail, now you can come with the correction and show them and give them the guidance that they need. So,
Yes.
like my wife and I, like I said, we go back and forth a lot of times. She used to go, "Man, you're so hard on your kids." I said, "The easier you make it, the harder I'm gonna make it."
Right.
Because it's called
Right.
balance.
Call
I said,
balance.
"I'm
You're
not
exactly
doing it
right.
because I'm mad or mean. I'm doing it because I'm trying to make sure that they don't think that the world is going to be that easy. I'm trying
Correct.
to make sure that they understand adversity and they can bounce back and pivot, those type of things." So when I hear you talk about that, man, that's very important for every young man,
Mhm.
to really experience, especially within a strong community, not just a household, but a
Yeah.
community.
Correct. Correct.
All right, Darius, your turn, man. So you
Mhm.
you challenging young husbands and fathers. What is an actionable item that they can complete this week as a father, and as a husband?
Uh, write down. Get with your family and write down your core values. I see core values as a compass that directs you and your family as you go about your life. So, I think one thing with trying to lead the family is having a plan, you know, and trying to describe what you want the family to be and look like. You know what I mean? Of course, everybody has freedom inside of this, but like trying to direct everybody's path so that we all can be aligned, pushing to be the best version of ourselves. And I think uh, putting together some values with you and your family, especially for your kids as they go out and move. There's a lot of distractions in the world today. So I think them having a compass inside of that is extremely necessary. Something that they can fall back on when they have to make those tough decisions or navigate stressful situations in life. So I think one practical and actionable item is making core values, whether it's 3, 4, 5. You know, sit down and say what does our family really believe in, and write them down. You know, and really start to plant those seeds into your family because, like I said, I see it as a compass, and I think everything needs to be intentional with getting to where you're trying to go to. If not, you're left to your environment and all the other different moving parts that's in the world. So that would be my challenge to all fathers, all husbands. You know, get your core values in order. Discuss it with your family. See what matters to your family, what they're aiming at. Like my dad said, I think that's something that's necessary for everybody.
Yeah, that's funny, right? So today, right? So my wife and I, we met. She met my manager at JP today, right?
Mm.
So we all went to lunch, and one of the guys that work on my team, he just recently got married about 4 days ago. So my wife's like, "Oh, congratulations!" So I was like, "Yeah, if you can come to us for some advice." And I look at my wife like, she's like, "We good at it now." We good at it now.
Right.
So yeah, we worked on those core values, man. And I mess with her all the time because I remember when I was younger and I would just be like, "You supposed to know, we supposed to know," and leadership is a reflection, right? So
Right.
I mess with her now and I go, "Man, I'm gonna get this PowerPoint." And she's just like, "Get out of my face." And she hate when I do that voice too. Like, get out. So, but I would mess with her, be like, "Don't let me get out that PowerPoint." And she, but it's just really good to be, like I would say and share, like for me personally, hearing you say that, the journey that I've had with my wife as well. We've everybody marriage is about ups and downs, right?
Yes.
And the little wins, not necessarily, hey, we did all of this great stuff, but the day-to-day wins, being parents,
Correct.
coming to a solution on things, so
Right.
when you have that as a compass, one, like for me and my wife, our moral compass is making sure that our son has both of his parents throughout the duration of his life.
Correct.
Like that. I didn't know that when I had
Mhm.
my first two kids, Anthony and Anissa, and it affect them. But we've had that conversation, so we've been able to bring them into what we've built, which is great. And that's made us a closer family as a result of it, having those type of conversations, because
Right.
I was a 19-year-old father back then,
Yep.
and I didn't know any better. But as I've matured, meeting Brian, seeing how he did things, meeting the people in my life, the coaches who've had long-standing, strong marriages, like it's really influenced me, us. I mean, you guys know, it
Mhm.
really changes who you are when you meet great people like that. And for me, I'll challenge every man watching, like before this weekends, just call your father, or call your
Correct.
son. Like, just call him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have a conversation with him about anything, and do more listening than you do talking, whoever makes the phone call. So
Hmm.
like that, to me, like I remember growing up, my dad, I didn't understand his challenges until I started to have them myself. And I used to think to myself, how can I be, upset at him for things as a man when I'm doing the same thing? That's being a hypocrite.
Hmm.
And so, but it also brought us closer together once I realized that, and I started asking the right questions about, how did you feel when you were doing those things? Like, if you knew it was wrong, why'd you still do it? Because I could compare it to how I felt, and it was actually the same answers. Different
Hmm.
generations, same answers. So I truly appreciate just calling my dad and just listening to him and talking to him and asking him questions. So that's what I would challenge every man, at the end of this broadcast to do, because conversations do build trust, and
Yes.
trust builds men. So with that said, we're going to close with this. Tonight wasn't necessarily about basketball, even though we talked a little bit about it, because it was a tool that got us where we are today. It was about what lasts after the buzzer. Like that's the
Uh,
crazy thing. A father's example, a husband's commitment, a man's faith, a family's legacy. I want to say thank you, Brian, for showing us that great fathers don't just raise athletes, they raise men. Darius, thank you for reminding us not all great victories happen on the basketball court. They
mhm.
happen at home. Um, they happen in the community. And then lastly, to every father watching, your greatest investment isn't your career, it's your family. To
Yep.
every young man, build your character before you build your resume. I mean, because that's going to determine, how long you stay in rooms, your character, and the integrity that you develop. To every husband, love your wife in a way your children, you want them to imitate. That's important. That's probably the most important thing you can show them. I mean, we've talked about that tonight, because at the end of the day, it's with time, boys will become men, and what type of men that is will determine what they see and what they develop. Men become husbands, husbands become fathers, and fathers shape generations. That's the built men journey. Remember, the builder asks, who am I becoming? The warrior asks, what am I building? The king asks, who is better because of me? The elder asks, what wisdom must I leave behind? no matter what age, no matter what stage, you're still being built. And I'm Roshown McLeod, and this is Built Men, built, not born, protect, provide, lead, and love. Thank you.